Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you at the Manly Salvo's Christmas Eve service today. My name is Malcolm Smith and I'm the mission leader at the Manly Salvos. You heard a little bit about some of our exciting plans for 2025. You heard we're starting a cafe church on Thursday evenings at 5:30, so we're excited about that. As we all know, Christmas is an especially important event in the Christmas calendar. In the Christian calendar. If you stop and think about what the claim of Christmas really is, you realise it is a truly momentous moment in history. The all-powerful Creator God of the universe comes to earth in human form as a baby. Heaven comes to earth, or heaven meets earth. Pretty outrageous stuff. However, for many of the world's atheists, they say that the Christmas story of God coming to earth is evidence of the human capacity for self-deception, believing things contrary to all the evidence. Admittedly, there are some far-fetched stories in the New Testament narrative, such as guiding stars we heard about in the reading, the wise men from the east, angelic announcements, and a virgin birth. Richard Dawkins and others pour scorn on the West's fixation with this story and all the traditions that have grown up around it. Part of me wants to counter such scepticism with a history lesson, pointing out the unusual degree of evidence we have for the life of Jesus. In fact, the historical written evidence for the life of Jesus is far more numerous than all the scholarly books for the life of Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar combined. My other response to the charge of self-deception is to point out that self-deception, in the sense of accepting things that seem unbelievable, is not always a bad thing. Some of the most beautiful and real things are also the most seemingly preposterous. There is some interesting research on this theme. In I Told Me So, American philosopher Greg Elsoff explores the double nature of self-deception in public life. A mother somehow manages not to notice the obvious signs that her son is on drugs. A wife does the same with respect to her husband's affair. All the evidence is available, yet it goes unseen. Elsoff also explores the great good that often comes from telling ourselves things that do not seem to be true. We might call this self-deception, but it could just as easily be called hope against hope. The same trait that allows a politician to convince himself that his lofty ends justify his dodgy means also allows a powerless black activist like Rosa Parks to believe against all the evidence that civil rights were coming to Alabama. Though at the same time she was arrested for not giving up her seat to a white man on a bus, she lived to see her impossible dream come true. Self-deception has an upside. It allows us to dare to imagine the impossible and frequently watch it unfold. It is the key to hope against hope. Viktor Frankl, in his famous book on Reflections on Auschwitz, observed that self-deception, the ability to sideline the evidence, made survival in death camps possible for many. In Auschwitz, Frankl said this happy self-deception gave people hope, a reason to live, and it saved lives. Or think of Nelson Mandela in his Robben Island prison. What enabled him to believe for 27 long years, not only that he would one day be free, but that the nation that left him to rot would be transformed by non-violence, reconciliation and love, and then make him their president. It certainly was not evidence that sustained him. It was the noble ability to sideline the evidence and hope against hope, a kind of prophetic madness that only looks like genius in retrospect. Yes, there are preposterous elements in the story of the birth of Jesus. Guiding stars, virgin births, angelic hosts, and not to mention the promise of peace on earth. But I'm more interested in the equally bizarre bits placed alongside the miracles of the story. Miracle stories are often used to enhance the greatness of a figure, to hide anything ordinary about the hero. But in the Jesus story, miracles are set in obvious contrast with the ordinariness of the Messiah. Miracles do not hide the meekness of the story, they emphasise it. However hard it is to believe in a virgin birth and angelic visitations, it is just as hard to get our heads around the central themes of Christmas. The long-awaited King is born in obscurity. The God of the universe is wrapped in swaddling cloths. The one who would become history's most revered name began life where the goats fed and relieved themselves in a manger. Inevitably, many will continue to think of Christmas as delusional, akin to believing in fairies at the bottom of the garden. But I think of Christmas as the ultimate expression of hope against hope, of self-deception of the healthy kind. Indeed, Mandela himself made such a connection in a 1992 speech, and it's still on the ANC website, the African National Congress website. Mandela explicitly said that the story of Jesus climaxing in his death and resurrection fueled his own confidence that humility and love would, despite all the evidence to the contrary, overcome all power and violence. In the decade that followed, Mandela, who had formerly advocated violent resistance, watched his dream of transformation come true. What to many must have seemed like self-deception through the quarter century leading up to his release from prison became one of the most tangible good news stories of the 20th century. The birth of Jesus, with all its miraculous, ignoble and unbelievable elements, has all the hallmarks of Mandela-like prophetic genius, daring us to allow our hunch that there's more to life than meets the eye. Life beyond the death camp, a future beyond Robben Island. It asks us to imagine that pure majesty has come for us in great humility. It allows us to hope that despite our minuscule place in the universe and our profound moral failings, God loves us. As Jesus reached adulthood, this prophetic genius would come to full flourishing. So as Christians, we believe that heaven has come to earth in the person of Jesus. And as Christians, we try to continue to shine the light of heaven on earth. When Jesus returns to earth in the second coming, the New Testament tells us there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and we will be physically resurrected just as Jesus was. Seemingly far-fetched to some, but what hope it gives to us who choose to believe. If any of this raises questions within you, make sure you come and talk to me and any other Christians you know here today or outside. Or come along to our Cafe Church next year, for one of our Bible studies, June 11th. Thank you for coming to church today, and I pray you all have a great